Hello, hi everyone. Welcome back to Wu Can Cook. My name is Wesley, and this is a show where we are slowly cooking our way through all of the food from my childhood. Today, we're adding to our series on breakfast foods with a shot at yet another one of my favorite quick Chinese breakfasts from my childhood, which is a savory steamed egg custard, or Zheng Geng. For those keeping track, we've now done a number of egg dishes in this series, including egg foo young, marble tea eggs, and Hong Kong-style egg tart pastries as well. A Chinese steamed egg is a loose whisked egg that's combined with stock, then gently steamed and topped with a savory sauce. It can be made with any number of things inside, including shrimp, chicken, veggies, or really anything else that you can imagine, but my personal favorite is a classic minimalist egg custard, which is what we're going for today. Now, while a Chinese steamed egg may sound deceptively simple to make because really it's just steamed egg, you will find that achieving that perfectly smooth, glass-like texture of a classic steamed egg requires quite a bit of practice to perfect. Otherwise, the surface of the custard will either buckle, split, wither, or all of the above. When done correctly though, this dish has always been one of my favorite simple breakfasts or midday snacks, and just reminds me of rainy Sunday mornings as a kid, watching TV and avoiding homework. So, let's get into it. Okay, so to start things off, I'm slicing up the only veggies in this entire dish, which are a couple of fresh green onions. We're going to be using both the whites and greens as a raw garnish today, so this means that we want these sliced pretty thin in order to make sure that the rawness of those whites aren't too abrasive. Then moving on to our eggs, I'm going with 4 eggs in total today, which we'll be splitting into 2 servings. I'm seasoning this with a pinch of kosher salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper, and finally 2 tablespoons of Shaoxing wine for a bit of sweetness and brightness. Then I'm whisking all of this to combine before we move it into a measuring cup so we can add exactly twice its amount in stock to our final custard mixture. Our 4 eggs here amount to 1 cup in total, so I'll be adding 2 cups of stock to the mixture before whisking up one more time to combine. Then I'm passing all of this through a fine mesh sieve into 2 separate bowls, making sure that we don't let any of these excess air bubbles through, which is going to ruin the glassy texture of our custard. Now, if you do see some bubbles get through, don't panic, just give the bowl a light tap on the counter to upset any remaining air pockets, and then pop them with a toothpick. Next up, moving on to our sauce, I'm looking for a combination of subtle heat and sweetness here. Now, our egg custard is already going to be very subtly seasoned, and this is a breakfast dish that I'm making at 8 in the morning after all, so we're not trying to get too wild with our spices here. This is going to be 4 tablespoons of soy sauce to start, followed by a tablespoon each of brown sugar for some sweetness, rice vinegar for some brightness, and lao gan ma or spicy chili oil for a gentle but pervasive heat element. Then I'm mixing this up to combine, and we're ready to steam our eggs. Over on the stove, I have about 2 cups of water in a medium-sized saucepan coming to a boil. Then I'm adding a steam basket here, which we're gonna set our eggs on top of for our cook. Now, if you don't have one of these, you can also just use a larger upside-down bowl at this point. But just make sure that whatever you do use is heat-proof though, otherwise it will absolutely break during the steam, and then mom's gonna get really mad at you for breaking her expensive rice bowls. Yes, I have done this before. Now, this is the point where I messed up a bunch of times and is arguably the hardest part of this whole dish, but what you want to do is add a dry dish towel in between the saucepan and the lid here to catch any condensation that might be building up. If you forget to do this like I did in my first attempt here, then that condensation will drip down into our eggs and it's going to cause the surface of it to buckle like mine did. You're also going to want to keep a close eye on this while we steam our eggs for 10 minutes on medium-low heat and check on it every few minutes. If you overshoot it like I did in my second attempt here, you could also end up with a more withered looking texture like this. Now, I will also admit that I tried this 4 separate times, and this was the closest that I could get to that glassy top texture before I got tired of wasting eggs. So don't be discouraged if your attempts aren't perfect either, because it takes quite a lot of practice, and let's face it, this is still going to be delicious anyway. I'm finishing this off with my sauce mixture, followed by my green onions to garnish, and finally a pinch of toasted sesame seeds for some texture, and we're ready to eat. Okay, so I know that this still isn't perfect, but even with its flaws, it's still one of my absolute favorite Chinese breakfasts of all time. It's super minimalist, it's light and fluffy in texture, and yet somehow surprisingly filling and wholesome as well. The sauce is simple and elegant, and I think probably my favorite part of it is the nice pervasive heat that Lao Gan Ma gives for the whole dish. We've definitely had a run of a number of pretty heavy fried and deep fried dishes over the last few weeks too, so this made for a nice contrast to all of the fried chicken and steak that we've had over the last couple of episodes. This one also has all kinds of nostalgia vibes for me too, because this was one of those dishes that my mom used to make for me whenever I lost a tooth, since it doesn't really require any chewing. Okay, so that's it everyone. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you give this one a shot. We're coming up on 3,000 subscribers on this channel, which just blows my mind. I can't tell you how honored I am to see so many folks tuning in for the recipes and streams, and it's just so exciting to be able to share my childhood and my culture with you all every week. If you haven't seen them yet, we've been doing polls over on the community tab of the channel to see what folks want me to cook next, so definitely hop over there and give me some requests too. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share, I guess just start pressing buttons and see what happens. See you soon.